beyond, you haven't washed everything that is within the boundaries. So you have to go just over that boundary so that you're sure that everything you have washed within the boundaries is completed. And they say, مَا لَا يَتِمُّ الْوَاجِبْ بِهِ إِلَّا بِهِ فَهُوَ وَاجِبْ. That without which an obligation is not complete is itself an obligation. So one has to wash slightly beyond the face, as one does with the other places that one washes. One has to wash the skin as well as hair, whether the hair is dense or sparse, to its roots, excluding the hair that grows on a man's chin, which is called a lihya. And for those that have dense hair from their chin up to just below their ear, those are called aradan. We would just call the whole thing a beard. They don't have to wash to the roots of that if it's dense. So the man's beard, essentially, or in Arabic we could say lihya and aradan, from beneath his ears to the hair on his chin. If it is dense, one does not have to wash to the roots. One need only wash the surface, though it's sunnah to comb through the beard, as we will see. How do we define dense then? Dense hair is defined as that which you can't see the skin under it when you're sitting at a distance at which you would normally speak to the person, and they define that as just under 1.5 meters. So like from me to Amir Sunjata, like if he can't see my chin, the skin, then you would call that dense. And certainly Uncle Musa, Sheikh Musa, La ilaha illallah. So that you don't have to get to its roots, you only have to wash the surface. So the skin and hair of the face, all of it has to be washed, whether it's sparse or dense, to its roots, except a man's dense beard. In Arabic, al-lihya wal-aradan. La ilaha illallah. The third is washing one's arms. By arms we need from the fingertips, and he says washing the hands, which is a nice way to say it, because then we understand it means from the fingertips up to and including the elbows. So from the fingertips up to including the elbows, and as we said, slightly beyond, so you're sure that you washed everything within the borders, must be washed. And as we'll see in the sunnahs, it's sunnah to go even farther. So on one's hands and feet, one has to wash skin, hair if there is hair on them, as well as nails. And one has to go under one's nails. And if there's dirt under the fingernails, that is a problem and it should be removed. And in any case, it's sunnah to keep one's fingernails short. And certainly nail polish is a problem. Nail polish, paint, super glue, any barrier that is on your skin, grease, any barrier that is on your skin that blocks the water, even from a very small portion of the skin, is a problem. So nails are an issue. There's a difference of opinion with dirt under the nails, so don't be hard on someone else about it. However, for your own caution, be careful. But for instance, fingernail polish, there's not a difference of opinion that we're aware of in the Shafi'i school. Other schools may have some leniency there. I'm not aware of it, but someone may be aware of that. In any case, the Shafi'i imams, you got to be careful of that. Super glue, got to be careful of that. Any kind of barrier that blocks water. The arms being washed means water has to run over the whole area of the arms in the obligatory portion. And then you'll see the next thing he says is wiping part of the head. So there's an interesting point here. Allah said, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, and that can be translated as wipe part of your heads. And for a reason related to the meanings of the particles of the huruf in Arabic language, the ba that occurs in biru'usikum can be understood as meaning tab'id, to do part of that thing. And there's another reason for which the jurists understood this, and that was the Prophet ﷺ would wash over his forelock, like his where your bangs would be, his nasiyah, and his turban. So he just wiped a little part of his hair and over the rest of his turban. So if one had to wipe all of the head, if that command meant that, then all of the head would not have been accomplished by the wiping that he did. So from those 2 points, and a linguistic point related to the verse, as well as the action of the Prophet ﷺ, the Shafi'i jurists understood that only a portion of the head or the hair of the head must be wiped. In the case that one just wiped, even like part of one hair, if I were to just go like this and just wipe a part of, like right here, that would suffice. And even part of a hair with the condition that it falls in the boundaries of the head when pulled in the direction that it naturally falls. So, like a woman with really long hair who just wiped the tip of her ponytail, that wouldn't count because it's outside. You wouldn't call that wiping your head. You call it wiping your hair. And the verse says wipe part of your heads. But if she were to just wipe this part, it would count, provided that the part she wiped, when pulled in the direction it naturally falls, stayed within the boundaries of her head. So you have to wipe the skin of the head or part of the hair of the head, even a very small part. And the hair of the head is that which remains in the borders of the head when it's pulled in the direction it naturally falls. Allah said, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. And here, notice that the head is wiped, whereas everything else is washed. Wiping means getting moisture to the thing, right? Washing meant water running over a thing. Wiping means getting moisture to it. So if I dip my finger in water and go like, just touch it to that part of my head, that's considered wiping. If I just dripped part, if I washed it, whatever I did, I'm just getting moisture there is considered wiping. So like a woman, for instance, with a scarf who has to make wudu in a public washroom and she doesn't want to have to remove her scarf and fix it back, she can just wipe the very front portion of her hair, and it's sunnah, as we'll see, to go over whatever headgear they're wearing. And similarly, a man who didn't want to remove his headgear, his kufi or hat or what have you, he may do the same. Please just be careful that he washes all of his face, and then the hair, as long as he wipes a little bit of his head, that suffices. And washing the feet up to and including the ankle bones that are meant here, the al-ka'bayn, are the pronounced bone on either side of the ankle. So each ankle has two. One has to wash both of them, up to including them and slightly beyond, as we mentioned, for the same reason that one does this on the face, as well as La ilaha illallah, the arms. Here, similarly, one has to wash skin, hair, nails, and also they mention here, but this applies to other bodily limbs, but they just mention it here because it occurs here, cracks in one's feet. So if there's cracks in the skin, that's still considered part of the surface skin, so one has to remove, like if you have some sort of medicine in the crack or what have you, one has to wash the cracks in one's feet. And this climate is relatively humid, so it doesn't occur here, but it occurs in some climates, and all of that has to be washed. And then the last of these integrals is doing these in the order mentioned. An order here, and we want to actually discuss some of the dalil, some of the proofs for these actions. And it's one sees from this, first of all, that it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command that we are following. And second of all, one sees the brilliance of the mujtahid imams and how they understood what they did from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's book and the sayings of His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So if we look at the dalils for the 6 integrals of wudu from the book and the sunnah, we find that 5 or 4 of them are explicitly stated in the Quran. Allah said, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. Translation of the meaning of this is, O you who believe, when you stand up to prayer, wash your faces. Allah commanded us to wash our faces, and a command indicates obligation. And your arms to the elbows, and ila in this verse means ma'a, as it does in other verses of the Quran. Your arms with the elbows, and then Allah said, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, and wipe part of your heads. That's a sound linguistic translation of that particular part of the verse. Wipe part of your heads, and your feet to the ankles. And your feet, notice, وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ, it's maf'ul bi, or it's ma'tuf ala maf'ul bi, and it's mansub, which means that it's washed. It's the object of the verb washing, and that's understood linguistically or grammatically from that verse the way it's pronounced. And in the 7 qira'at, that's how it's recited, with nasab of arjulakum. And then those who recited it otherwise, that's for reasons related to the expression but not to the ruling. So Allah mentioned 4 of the obligations there, that we wash our faces, we wash our arms, we wipe our heads, and we wash our feet. And then one of the obligations is understood from the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that actions are according to intentions, and that's related by Bukhari and Muslim. So where is the last obligation understood? And that is order. So we have the 4, basically washing or wiping the 4 bodily limbs that are cleaned in wudu. And then we have the intention, which is the 5th integral, or the first of the first integral, but the 5th that we're proving here. The intention is from the hadith. And then where is the 6th from? The 6th, they understood it, the Shafi'is understood it from a number of places. One of them, they understood from the Prophet ﷺ showing us how to make wudu, as he did in Muslim and other hadith collections. And whenever he would show someone to make wudu, he would perform it in that order. And another is, the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith which is well authenticated, in Hajj, ibda'u bima bada Allahu bi. He said, start with that which Allah started. And that was when he was asked about going between Safa and Marwa.